So what I really liked about this movie, Thondimuthalum Driksakshiyum, man, this was one interesting premise. It's interesting and it's also hilarious. And honestly, it is what I would say unique. Because I don't think I've ever seen a robbery where the robber swallows what he's stolen. It's ridiculous, but at the same time, it's hilarious. But the setup for this movie is so fantastic. And, after the first act, where they basically give us a little backstory into the characters, the main characters here, Prasad, one, I guess you would say, and Shrija, we really get into the crux of the story, and that is about this robbery. There's so much I like about this movie. This movie is so layered. There's so much going on. There are so many themes that this movie sort of plays on, especially to do with justice and morality and, police corruption at times. But before I get into any of this stuff, I have to talk about someone who's turning into one of my favorite actors from just two movies that I've seen of his so far. Fahadh Faasil. Wow. This guy is so incredible. He is really so electric in this movie. He's so dynamic. He does so much in this movie, and it's just a joy to watch. He's honestly turning into one of my favorite actors from the Malayalam film industry because of he's so captivating. Whenever he's on screen, I just want to watch him and what he's doing. He's got this presence that I think it's above a lot of other actors that I've seen in this, incredible industry as it is. Some of the stuff he did in this movie, he was playing this kind of, he's a robber, he's a thief, scoundrel, he's all those things that you can throw, all those words you can sort of throw at him. He is that. But at the same time, there's this sort of innocence towards him, and you feel a lot of sympathy towards what he's gone through and the injustices that he might have faced during his, life. On top of that, the faces he makes, the facial expressions he makes are so ridiculously insane sometimes. They're honestly kind of meme-worthy. Like his stare. And I saw a bit of this in Kumbalagi Nights as well. He had that sort of stare and that weird sort of look that he has. He has a lot going for him. And then on top of that, again, his physical acting in this movie is, wow. It is incredible, man. Like, I think one of my most favorite scenes in this movie, and it's one of my favorite scenes because of his acting towards the scene, alongside the other cast members as well. But when he's getting beat up by the cops in that scene, when he's taken down and they're trying to, the officer Chandran is trying to force an admission out of him by punching him and doing everything. His acting in that is phenomenal. If you haven't seen that scene in a while, I'm sure you can YouTube it and watch it again because my God, it is incredible. It is so good. On top of that, man, we have, one of my favorites, one of my most likable actors, I think, Suraj Venjaramoodu. I tried to say his surname. I hope I did okay there. But him alongside this other actress, Nimisha, man, such a great performance from both of them. Really enjoyed watching them. I thought they were so great in so many different ways. Like, Suraj plays this really good contained character. I think I've seen him do this a few times. He's quite contained. He's quite serious, but he's so likable and charming. He has slight comedic moments at the start, especially with what's going on. And the first act in this movie I thought was really well done. Before Fahad even sort of enters the picture, it's so well done because you get such a great, entertaining story of this really nice love story that comes out of nowhere. Suraj has some insecurities, I think you would say, in that he thinks he's a really good person. I thought they were going to explore the aspect a little bit more, but he genuinely is a good person and a caring person. On the other side, this actress, Nimisha, who plays Shrija, oh my God, she was so great. She was just like a scene stealer. Whenever she was on the screen, whatever she's saying, she has such good delivery in what she's saying. The other sort of favorite part of this movie, I think, which has probably hit me the deepest, is the part when she and Prasad, her husband, played by Suraj, are basically having a bit of like a fight, about her carelessness and losing the chain, and what they should eventually do. Should they take the money instead of wait for the time, because it might take a long time for them to get the money back? But she says something so beautiful, and the way she delivers it is so powerful. I've got to give a lot of credit to her. She was really good. I was really impressed by her. She said something like, our love, the power of our love is something like, beyond this world. And the strength of that is so strong. And the movie pauses when she says that. Like, it's so well done. And it's such a powerful message about this movie, which sort of touches on sort of the morality and things like that, which we'll get onto as well. Now, so I just wanted to sort of mention some of the performances in this movie because they were fantastic. They really carried this movie so well. And it was so great to watch these performers in this. Really, there's not so much that happens in this movie. It's kind of a contained story. It's pretty simple in some ways. But again, the performances are just highlighted so well in this, and I can't stop raving about them. But before I jump onto talking about this movie, its sort of premise, its narrative, its plot, and some of the deeper themes it explores, I have to say thank you again. Genuinely, thank you for recommending me this movie, because how would I ever come across this movie if it wasn't for you guys and your recommendations? So thank you so much. Johans, I think I gave you a shout out last time. Thank you again. Thank you to Abhishek. You also recommended this movie. Sujit Kumar, I think you recommended this movie a while ago. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate it. And Vishal, thanks again, man. You guys are awesome. Please keep giving me the comments. Keep recommending me whatever movies you have to do, because I honestly love watching these movies. And when you guys recommend them to me, I love it even more. So let me know what you thought about this movie. If you're watching me for the first time, please hit that subscribe button. It makes a huge difference to a small channel like us. And yeah, I'd really appreciate that. But getting onto this movie, man. Oh my God. As I said, it's so layered. There's so many things going on with this movie. You have the whole relationship between Prasad and Suraj and their sort of battle to just be with each other, it seems like. It's quite touching to me. Like, they had that scene, which some people might argue was a little bit not needed, but I think it was very needed. The flashback where they show sort of what they had to go through to get to where they are. It sort of makes you realize how important that chain is to Shrija and Prasad and everyone. Like, it's got emotional value and sentimental value, but they need that money because they have been ostracized from where they live. They've been abandoned, due to, caste issues, and, they had to elope and get away from everything because of what they've done. So it sort of explores some of these themes, and, the strength of the relationship that they have, the love they have for each other is so strong and beautiful. It's really touching to me. I really enjoyed that aspect of this movie. Watching their relationship, this was a really nice romance movie. Even though it might not seem like a romance, I don't know if romance is what you would describe when you talk about this movie, but to me, it's one of the strongest elements of this movie. Then obviously you have the main storyline in this movie, which is about the crazy swallowing of a chain. It is insane. And I think half this movie, there's a lot of mystery because it happens so fast. And I definitely did not rewind or want to see what happened because I was going along the journey and I wanted to see if Prasad too actually stole the chain or not, because it was so weird to me. Like, why would you steal a chain to then swallow it? Like, it doesn't do you any good. Like, you have to wait so long for it to come out, and the damage it can do to your body, it's so ludicrous and so crazy. But I was just so fascinated because the first half of the movie, I would say, is basically about, did he steal it or not? How will they prove that he's stolen the chain? Then it gets into the law side of things about how can you prove that chain is even the same one? How are they going to make this case for this happening? So that whole question that's in your head before even the stuff that happens later on with the brutality and the morality that comes into play, the whole, politics around what do the police do in this kind of situation where it's not a black and white case, it's a complicated case because there's no proof, If someone swallows a chain, how can you really say anything until you get an x-ray? But even then, to be honest, the law can just say it's a different chain. You can't prove it's the same chain. So yeah, that whole part was so entertaining to see how that played out. they had a lot of sort of stuff going on, but that itself was the central premise of this movie, and I was enjoying it all the way along because after we find out that it is actually inside um, Prasad, it's not over. It's not like the story's over, right? There's still so much more to go. Um, Obviously, there's the scene which might be one of my favorite scenes. It's hilarious at the same time as it is thrilling. Um, with how Prasad sort of runs away with with the chain inside his body, and he flees and he disappears, and the cops can't find him. You know, one that shot is so well done. I love the cinematography of how that is done. It's like at a the angle is from a distance, and you just see everyone running. I love how that shot is done. It's really well done. I really enjoyed it, and the way they shot the whole canal fight scene, the wrestling scene within the water, fantastic. Suraj again, fantastic in his delivery, fantastic in his performance when he's sort of showing you how much that chain means to him, and he's pleading to um, Fahil, I would call it Fahad in the scene, basically letting him know, like, no, I need this. This is we need this back. I need this for my life. This is means a lot to me, and he's pleading to him. It's beautiful to see that, man. It was really, really well done. Full props to Suraj. He's a pro, man. I love seeing Suraj whenever I can. But yeah, that scene itself was funny, entertaining, thrilling, all at the same time. Um, really well done. Which then gets me around to sort of the final part I want to talk about this movie, which is the whole, I guess, the second thriller, the second plot twist, if you want to call it that, with the officer Chandran basically being in a position where he is kind of, he's obviously very disheveled because he's lost his son. I didn't really understand. Did he kill his son through beating him up, or did he die in an accident? His Chandra's wife, who plays a small role, comes into it and says something like, you beat your son enough. Is she implying that he killed him? Oh my god, if so, that's extremely dark. But, he had a really good role to play, and he played that role fantastically as well. The sort of jealousy that he has for the younger constable, played by CBK Thomas. Again, fantastic performance from him as well. Authoritative, but comedic at the same time. A lot to like about some of these side characters too. I've got to give it up to them. But yeah, he's playing this whole game of like, he's a bit jealous. He wants to sort of reach a higher status. He wants to get out from the small town because he's been demoted to come to this small little place. So he's trying to make a name for himself, trying to reestablish his reputation in the society. So, he does have some fabrication and stuff like that he tries to do, which plays on some of the morality of this movie. And I think that's what this movie's central theme is about. I mean, that scene that I referenced before about when, what do you call it, Prasad 2, Fazl's character, Fahid's character, is basically getting beaten up by the cops, and you see Shrija and Prasad just in the room, and they're traumatized. They're like, they can't believe what's happening here, and it makes you question, like, how much are you gonna go to get what's right? How much are you willing to fight for? How much do you want to do to achieve, to get the result that you want, the verdict that you want? We see that especially to Srija. And again, props to this actress, man, Nimisha. I'm so impressed. Like, she is at the same time really strong, but so lovely and so honest at the same time. And that really shows in this scene as well, where despite, wanting to have that chain no matter what, because how much she appeals to justice, when she sees it play out in front of her and she sees what the cops are doing, she doesn't even see it, she just hears it. And you see how taken aback both of these characters are by what's happening. They give up everything. They say, like, no, stop this. We don't want the chain anymore. It's not worth it. It's really just well done from the actress's side, from the writing point of view, which I have to touch on. The writing in this movie is phenomenal. Again, it's so well done, so tightly packed. They achieve so much. Every scene seems like it has such an impact on you. But yeah, that whole scene is so well done. That's probably the climax of the scene and the ending of the scene as well, which I think is really nice as well. When sort of Prasad too, Fahed's character sort of mentions, that he does see Suraj as a good person, and he appeals to him and tells him, like, look, in this police station, the cops have all the power. Outside of that, it's not the same case. he pleases them and tells them, look, the chain, I know where it is. I've thrown it outside. You can go get it back. But you don't need to make my life any worse. By putting me in jail because of what I've gone through. I deserve compensation. So I think what the ending implies is that he writes a thank you note to Shrija and Prasad saying thank you for letting me out or something like that. Or when they went to jail, when they went to the court, they didn't accuse him of being locked up. He seems like he's a criminal of the softer kind. He's not a murderer. He's not a serial killer. He's not someone bad. He is someone that is good-hearted, but he's had a hard time in life, from what it seems like. I think this movie could have explored that a little bit more if they wanted to. They could have shown his side a little bit more, but that's fine. I think Fahadh's performance was so good that he was able to express that without even telling you a backstory. That's what brilliant acting does. You can understand backstories just through his mannerisms. Fantastic. Geez, he really was a star in this movie. But yeah, look, I think that basically brings me towards the end of this movie. I thought this movie did a great job exploring a lot of concepts, a lot of, themes, especially around the concept of morality. I didn't touch on the sort of police corruption and the fabrication as much here, because there's a whole other angle to this, and sort of how do you deal with knowing that there's, can you fabricate the case just to get your way? Is that right or wrong? Does a criminal deserve that justice? Fantastic question to ask. But yeah, look, I'm sort of coming to the end of this review. This movie was sensational. Honestly, I love this movie so much. There's so much more I could talk about in this movie, but I will try and keep it a little bit more concise and sort of wrap it up there. In terms of D-scale, in terms of my final rating, look, you already know, this movie is basically a solid 8 or 9 out of 10. It's fantastic. It's a dynamite on our D-scale again. So yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, please watch it. If you haven't seen it recently, then I hope I have reinvigorated your want to watch this movie again, because it definitely deserves a second or third watch. Again, a big thank you to everybody that recommended this movie to me. I am so grateful to have watched this movie. So please leave me more comments, leave me more feedback on what movies you want to see. So yeah, that'll do it for me, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.